Our first presenter is Ibu Rosinta N Siregar, or popularly known as Ibu Teti Siregar. She is from Lembaga Bahasa LIA Surabaya Gayungsari, and she is going to discuss things related with improving young learners' engagement in the online classroom using finger teaching. Ibu Teti, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Bu Ira. Good morning, everybody.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Ibu.
Good
Okay.
morning.
Good morning.
So, is my voice clear enough at your end?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for the confirmation. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay. So, can you see my screen now? Is it
Yes,
clear?
Ibu.
Okay.
Yes.
So, my classroom action research paper title is Improving Young Learners' Engagement in the Online Classroom Using Finger Teaching. Um, why do I choose this topic anyway? Well, the reason is because we all know that engaging learners in their learning process is very, very important. It's the essential thing in learning. Engaged learners tend to enjoy, understand, and remember their lesson more. Now, many teachers, while doing this synchronous online learning, they rely on the online applications. Believe it or not, according to the recent research, in 2021, we already have 50,000 choices of online applications in the Play Store. It's not even on other store. It's only on Play Store. So it can get overwhelming for teachers to choose which online applications that they can use or they can apply to their classroom. There's also this problem with our unstable internet connection. We all know that Indonesia has not the greatest internet connection, so unfortunately, it delays the transmission. Sometimes we play a video and our learners go like, Miss, the video is not playing on my end. Okay, that's the difficulties. There are more difficulties when we teach young learners in our classroom instead of teenagers or adults. Now, they are they have very short attention spans and they get bored easily. That's why this finger teaching or the application of finger teaching, which does not require any additional internet connection and can be done without much preparation, is proposed for this research. First of all, we need to know that as Mr. Ardian already said in his session, we have two types of online learning, the synchronous one and the asynchronous one. This one is for the synchronous one. According to Sistek and Chandler, synchronous online learning is when the teacher and learners engage in active communication in real time. So we rely on Zoom in LIA, we rely on Zoom for this activity, synchronous online learning. And then we also need to know what young learners are. As you can see on my screen, young learners are playful, they're imaginative, they are curious, but they tend to have difficulties to understand abstract concepts. They get bored easily and they have short attention span. Sorry. And that brings us to this part, the reasons. Of course, as I've mentioned earlier, the ultimate reason is the overwhelming numbers of online applications for teachers. Not all of us are well trained in technology. We need to learn technology, but to do it in such a short time is quite impossible. So we need time to learn and to apply those applications in our classroom. And then there's also this one, young learners' short attention span and difficulties to understand abstract concepts. There's also this need within me. So as a researcher, there's this need to have a better understanding on why and how the application of finger teaching in the classroom help young learners, because I have been applying finger teaching in the classroom, but I want to know what is or how they can actually improve their engagement in the classroom. Okay. And there's also the interest to find out which aspect of engagement that we are improving with the application of finger teaching in the classroom. Okay. So the research questions for me are: how does finger teaching affect young learners' engagement in synchronous online classrooms? And to what extent does finger teaching affect young learners' engagement? Now, when we take a look at the theoretical framework, we have Ralmi, and Ralmi talked about these 7 major young learners' characteristics. Perhaps any one of you would like to add more to the characteristics? You can type it in the chat box. But they do get bored easily, and they are meaning oriented, means that they have difficulties to understand abstract concepts. They like to discover things. They are very curious, and they prefer concrete activities, one that involves physicalities. They are playful. Thank you, Bu Veronica, Bu Ika. Okay. They are egocentric. They tend to think about themselves instead of other people. They are imaginative, and they learn by imitating adults. There's also this theory by Bosch. Bosch mentioned about 3 types of engagement. Ardian already talked about this also in his session. We have affective engagement, which deals with learners' emotional attitudes. And then we have behavioral engagement, which deals with their participation in the classroom. And then there's the last one, the cognitive engagement, or their ability to comprehend complex ideas and master difficult skills. Okay. Oh, Bunanden also said that young learners tend to be moody. I agree with you, Bunanden. Okay. Now, the one that I propose is finger teaching. However, finger teaching is not something new. We already know about sign language. It started centuries ago. Plato mentioned it in his work. So if we had a voice or a tongue and wanted to express things, we make signs by moving our hands, head, and the rest of our body, just as dumb people do. And this is a part of finger teaching. So finger teaching is not only about sign language, but it's also about this one, finger correction technique. So according to Cambridge English Teaching Knowledge Test, finger correction technique is a teacher's way of drawing attention to where learners has made a mistake, using fingers as the representation of the word. So if you put your finger like this and they said, I am like cooking, you just have to, I am like cooking, and you just have to do this. And they are usually, instinctively, they make the correct sentence by saying, I am cooking. So that's the finger correction technique. So what is finger teaching actually? If we have to sum it up, finger teaching is a teaching technique using fingers in addition to teachers' explanations to teach the target vocabulary by showing signs, okay, to represent words, and to teach target grammar by showing how a sentence is constructed. As you can see in the visualization, we have these 2 to show the target vocabulary, and then how finger teaching is applied to teach target grammar. Now, we are talking about research. In research, we have data to analyze. So the first thing that I need to present is the subject of the research itself, the learners. the learners are young learners, and according to Lembaga Bahasa LIA, young learners are children from the age of 6 to 12 years old who are enrolled in our 12th level program, namely General English for Young Learners, or GALE. The subject of this research is Level 1A Young Learners. Level 1A is the entry level, and the majority of them, or most of them, are 6 to 8 years old. They are in their first or second grade of primary school. In this particular research, the number of learners are 9. The number of learners is 9, sorry. So there are 9 learners that we observe. Now, how does finger teaching actually affect young learners' engagement in synchronous online classrooms? That was my first question for this research. And for that particular question, I use class video recordings because we are using Zoom, so it is quite easy to do class video recordings. And then I also use teachers' observation sheet to observe 2 types of engagement in the learners, the cognitive one and the behavioral one. So the cognitive one is using question 1 until 4, and question 5 until 6 are to observe their behavioral engagement. For this research, we are doing the first, I did the first cycle using this target vocabulary and grammar. So the target vocabulary is adjectives. They are very abstract. And the target grammar is quite simple, only 3 words. Okay. I'm going to play a short video of how it is applied in the classroom. I hope you can see the video. Can we say it like this? Scary.
Hungry.
Can you do it like this? Scary.
Scary.
Mm-hmm. Hungry.
Hungry.
Mhm.
Hungry.
Long.
Long.
Thin. Tall.
Tall.
Mm. Okay, so that's the implementation of finger teaching in the classroom in the first cycle. We have 5 words and then 3 words for the target grammar. Now, when the video recordings are observed and the teacher observation sheet was filled, we have this numbers. So the learner's time to replicate based on row theory, there should be 3 to 5 seconds of wait time for learner's time to replicate. As you can see from the table, only 3 learners did the replication very quickly. Some of them don't even understand what to do. They just stared at the screen and they were confused, even though I already mentioned, please follow the finger. Okay, please follow my finger or my signs, but they still didn't get it. And then when it's about replicating the target grammar, the number is even lower. Only 2 learners managed to do it 0 learners managed to do it very quickly. Only 2 learners managed to do it quickly. And the rest of them are in the medium session, which means that they did it more than 30 seconds. Okay. And then we also have this one, learners' understanding and personalization. Do they understand the target vocabulary and grammar without being translated to Indonesian. The trouble is, do they understand? Yes, somewhat. Okay, so 4 is somewhat. The majority of them go in neutral or not at all, unfortunately. Okay, so and then are learners able to personalize? Only 2 can do it very much. This is the first cycle, their trial.
Excuse
And then,
me, Ibu
yes,
Teti, you have
you
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Okay, thank you. So this is the first cycle. As you can see, the numbers are not that great. That's why I decided to go to the second cycle. In this part, the target vocabulary is preposition, and the target grammar is a bit longer, 3 to 4 words. Okay, so this is the application in the classroom. Everyone, please raise your hands. Ready? Follow me, please. Can you see my hands? Yeah, like this. Let's say it together. On. On. Kira-kira on artinya apa ya? Di atas. Well done. Now let's check this one out. Under. Under. What is under? Di bawah. Well done. Now, one, let's check this one out.
I'm not sure.
In.
In.
What does it mean? What does it mean then? Kira-kira artinya apa sih in? Di dalam. Well done. Okay. In is di dalam. And then we have this one.
What? Hit.
Behind.
Hit.
Can we say it together? Behind. What does it mean behind? Artinya apa sih behind? Behind. What does it mean? Di belakang. Okay. Now, okay, so that's the application in the classroom for the second cycle. Now, the numbers, because they already experienced the first cycle, the numbers increases. So for the learners who replicate the target vocabulary and grammar, most of them can do it quickly or even very quickly. So as you can see, the medium part is only 1, and then the slowly or very slowly is even 0. And that's a very good result. We also talk about the behavioral engagement and, the cognitive engagement. And do they understand the target vocabulary and grammar without being translated to L1? Yes, very much so. Are learners able to personalize when they have the chance to make their own sentences? They can personalize the questions and the answers. Now, after that, the second cycle was over. I would like to know about the extent of finger teaching. To what extent does finger teaching affect young learners' engagement? So I did this class interview, asking 3 questions with only yes or no. And surprisingly, their answers are yes for all of them. And it was a very marvelous time when they answered this without hesitation. So is learning English fun? Yes. So they without any hesitation. It shows that they are confident about their answers. So as you can see here, this is the comparison between cycle 1 and cycle 2. In the first cycle, only 56% of learners were able to replicate the target vocabulary quickly. According to Jamara and Zain, if the number showed 75% of the subject were able to reach the success rate, then the research was successful. So because the numbers already showed more than 75%, thus the research was concluded. So in conclusion, sometimes we don't need online applications to engage our learners in the online classroom, especially the synchronous online classroom. We tend to have difficulties with synchronous online classroom with our internet connection. Use something that we have that doesn't use an internet connection. Finger teaching is one of those things that you can use in the online classroom. Applying finger teaching can actually improve their engagement, be it affective, behavioral, or cognitive engagement. So that's it for my presentation, Bu Ira. Back to you for the Q&A session.
Thank you very much, Ibu Tati. We have 5 minutes for question and answer session. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand and pop up your question. However, in the meantime, I am sending the feedback link for Ibu Tati in the chat while we are going on with the question and answer session. Please access the feedback link. All right. First question, raise your hands, please. Okay, from Ibu Dwi Kurnianingsih. Yes, please.
Okay, my name is Dwi Kurnianingsih from LIA Palembang. Bu, I would like to ask, until what age do you suggest to have this kind of technique? Thank you.
Thank you, Budwi. Thank you for the question. In real life, outside this research, I actually applied finger teaching for all types of levels. So from the young learners until adults. Of course, the activities are different. We don't only use finger teaching to teach target grammar and target vocabulary for adults. We can also teach them to to narrate a story, to create choreographies for songs, basically something that they can do with their fingers. Why is it still important for adults to use fingers? Because when they actually use fingers, as Bunenden said, I'm taking this from Bunenden's chat, they are using their motoric intelligence. So it is important to apply all of those intelligence in our learners. There you go, Budwi. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ibu Tati. There is one question from Ibu Nenden from Cirebon. How long do you usually prepare the sign language?
Thank you, Bunanden, for the question. Believe it or not, sometimes I do not prepare the sign language. You can check the ASL, American Sign Language. It's online. You can also check BSI, the Indonesian version, or you can ask the learners to create the signs. They would be very happy to do that with you. So when you have, for example, this same learners, they were in 1A previously, and this year I taught them for 2As. And in 2A, we have topics about the weather. And I asked them to create sign languages for sunny, raining, and so on. And they were very happy when they could. Miss, sunny is like this. Okay, no problem. Whatever you like, we can use that. As long as the class agree on sign, then we can also use that. So sometimes we don't even need any preparation to do the sign language. Of course, if you want a backup plan, it's always better to search online for the ASL, other languages that you can find. Okay, the most used one is ASL, American Sign Language, but it doesn't have to stop there. There you go, Bunenden. Thank you for the question.
Thank you
Oh
very
yeah,
much.
I'm so
Uh,
sorry. My real name is Rosinta, so you may have confusion in the
my bad.
feedback form.
Ibu Teti Siregar's formal name is Rosinta Nauli Siregar, right?
Yes, exactly, Bu
And
Ira. Thank you.
yes, but she is daily known as Tati. So a lot of teachers call her Tati Siregar. But actually, her real name is Rosinta.